Guys, hey, thanks for coming out today. It's Chris Russell, and thanks for coming out. So I'm on a call right now with Derek Halpern, and I'm stoked because, and if you haven't been out to his site at socialtriggers.com, definitely do that. I've gotten ideas about how to improve things over at Dangerous Tactics from him consistently. I've talked with him on Twitter for like the past year and a half. He's a smart guy with a lot of great ideas. And what we're doing today is he's going to critique, and as you guys know, one of the things I do consistently with clients over here is we do these website critiques. We kind of dive in depth and optimize and like how can we get more leads and stuff coming in for your business on your website, right? So this is what Derek's doing for me today. He's going to be tearing Dangerous Tactics apart and giving me some ideas on how to tweak things and get things up and running. And this is what he does, socialtriggers.com, and he helps people get more leads and sales come in from your business. And obviously, if you need more traffic feeding in to help you build your email list up, he helps you with that too. So and just for what it's worth, I've seen this guy. He's been working with Pat Flynn, Chris Brogan, David Risley, all these big hitters. So I'm totally pumped to have him on the call, and I'm really excited to see what kind of feedback you're going to give me, sir.
Hey, Chris, thanks for having me. I'm really excited to have this call with you because, like a lot of these other reviews that I've done with some really popular people who are very, very smart with their blogging initiatives, but they seem to they overlook opportunities that almost everyone overlooks for some reason. And I haven't really figured out why people are overlooking it. Maybe because, everyone's really busy. They don't have the time to implement this stuff. But your site actually has some opportunities that you can implement, and it won't take you that long. And not only is this important for you and your site, I think that your readers will really, really enjoy this because the advice I'm about to give you will be applicable to almost every niche. Well, I guess I can't say it's like a magic bullet or a silver bullet or anything like that. That'd be a little irresponsible. But I will say I haven't found a niche where this strategy has not worked. So I mean, there's someone that could prove me wrong, maybe, but I haven't found one yet.
No, you're talking. I mean, we're talking about general principles here. That sometimes, a simple idea is something that you might need to tweak it maybe a little bit. But I'm expect like what you said right there. I think is dead on, and that's one of the reasons I was excited to share this on the site because I'm certain that some of the stuff that you have to offer is gonna help readers for as well.
Cool. So let's just dive right in. When people hit dangeroustactics.com,
right on.
They see right at the top of the site, get more leads and sales with your website. Here's the problem. There's something I call the header removal test, which you just mentioned to me earlier before this call.
Yes.
When you remove your headline and your tagline, you want people to know exactly what your site's all about without scrolling.
Above the fold without the header.
Exactly. Above the fold without the header. Now, you're using a feature box, which I absolutely love. The feature box is that section where you see, is your website leaving money on the table? Yeah, I love this because it converts a ton of people on your site, I'm sure, right?
It converts well, yeah.
All right.
Converts well.
Now, what I would love to see on your site, instead of just linking to your regular home, about, blog, contact services, subscribe, get some more descriptive keywords there. Maybe it could be, it could really be anything. It could be you focus on getting more leads and sales with your website. Maybe you could have a get more leads 101 type thing. That's just a link. I know you have a free ebook for conversion. Do you still offer that?
Yeah, that's over here. If you click on it's not on the home page, but if you're on the blog, right in the sidebar, I've got a link here where they can go grab a copy of that.
I consider linking the free ebook right in your navigation bar because even though you have it in your sidebar on the blog, it might not hit people that you're offering that. So you might want to just link it in your navigation bar just to get a little bit extra promotion for it. Or
right on.
Something that I do at DIYthemes.com/thesis, we have a hello bar where we promise the free ebook that DIY Themes has.
You right on. I've seen that the hello bars everywhere now. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not getting as high as click-through rate as it once did, but it would be a good way for you to test. Maybe you'll be able to get 1% more clicks to that page, and it might net a few hundred extra emails a month, which is nothing to scoff at.
No, 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 not at all. Now, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Would you recommend, because I've got this, I've got the link, the 7 reasons to subscribe. Would you think remove that and replace it with a specific offer, or
Yeah,
just
so
include it?
I would definitely, I think 7 reasons to subscribe is great, but it's not descriptive. People come here, the header removal test, remember, they see that you're about getting more leads and sales on your website, but they don't really know what you do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like
how is that going to happen, right? Yeah,
on your home page, it's okay because you have that nice feature box. But on your blog page, if people come here, they see your tagline and header. That's a little, I mean, it kind of has the little skeptical meter going off. Oh, wow, another guy trying to get more leads for me. And then they see home about blog contact, and then they see your first headline of your blog post. But what if that headline doesn't grab their attention? What if the header and tagline doesn't grab their attention? You want to be able to entice these new visitors to clicking more stuff on your site, just in case your header and your first article does not
right.
pull their attention. You know what I'm saying?
No, I do, absolutely. Yeah, because it's not always like some. I might just have some, post that I wrote in the past few days that's not necessarily the like 100% best headline or something, and then, you know, they're it's not going to grab them.
Yeah, exactly. So let's go back to why I call this the header removal test. Now, a lot of people wonder why this matters. Why do people need to know what this means? And to apply this to the rest of your audience and their websites, you want your site to pass this header removal test because, again, you don't want to rely on just your header and your first post. You want to give people every opportunity to actually consume your content.
Right.
And that's why I really stress that. And this kind of leads me into one of my next little catchphrases where by default blogs are really, really great at highlighting new content. The problem is blogs are horrible at highlighting the content in your archives. And I mean, and you're writing evergreen stuff. So your stuff in your archives is valuable content, which is very, very hard to find. Am I
Very,
right?
very true. It is. Stuff gets buried, and then it's a shame. Yeah.
Exactly. So here's how you can solve that. Now I'm doing something similar and on over at Social Triggers, but you write about popular topics I see, which is about
Pretty much. Yeah.
specific tags or categories that you write blog posts about. I suggest you create something what I call resource pages. And resource pages are quite simply just a page with a headline, some introductory content, links to 5 or 6 articles, and then an opt-in form at the bottom. Or if you want to be a little more aggressive, you can put the opt-in form above the 5 to 6 article links. Now let me explain why this matters. You have all that content in your archives. You can pull out your very best stuff. Find something you want to rank for. Let's say Get More Leads 101. You could rank for Get More Leads 101. Make that a resource page. Write some introductory content about it. Link your 5 to 6 best articles about getting more leads. And then you put an opt-in form. Now you have this resource page, which you could also include in your navigation bar, where if people don't click on the free ebook because the ebook doesn't entice them, they might see Get More Leads 101. That might entice them to click instead. So now you have one more thing that's working to convert random visitors into loyal subscribers and potentially customers.
Right
Does that
on.
make sense?
It does make sense. Are you thinking just link it straight up in the navigation right alongside in the red navigation bar I've got here, or something else like a sub navigation bar? Or
It could be either or. Now, what I would do is you don't want to make that navigation bar too complicated because
yeah, that's what I'm getting at exactly. Yeah.
there's actually a study that was done by Sheena Iyengar about about like it was called the Draeger Jam study, and she found that there's 2 different displays of jam, like at a supermarket, like jam that you eat, and one display had 6 jams, another display had 24 jams. The 24 jam display attracted more people to the jam display because it had the wow factor. 24 jams, wow.
Right.
But the 6 jams, while it attracted less people, it converted the people into sales on a factor of something like 1,000% more or something. It was something crazy number where the smaller jam display with less options converted more sales. So now this applies to navigation because if you have a navigation bar with 100 items up there, it might pull people's attention, but they might not click on it because it's too cluttered.
It's too
So
much. Yeah.
you don't want to have too much. And I think just adding one or two more links there might help. Or you could do something a little bit more. It's a little different where you have the work with me button to the top right. Maybe you could put home about blog next to work with me, and then save your red bar for the resources.
All right. Okay.
That I'm actually borrowing from a copy blogger. He does something similar like that.
Yeah, he's got something like up in the upper right for his
Exactly.
name. Yeah, it's
Exactly.
like his. Yeah, right on.
So you create those. So I guess the first tip is, you want to create those resource pages so you can pass that header removal test. You're going to find that it's going to convert a lot of people into subscribers. I'm doing it. It's great. Now here's the other key. When you create those resource pages, you don't have to create new content. So for anyone who's listening, if you already have the content, you can use the content you already have and just package it up into a nice little resource page, link it in your navigation bar, and then when you're done, announce the fact that you just put together this resource page to your main blog list.
Hey,
So you
check
get
this out.
all
Yeah.
your Exactly. So you get all your RSS readers and potentially some tweet action heading over there, so they share that resource page, and you'll find that people will really enjoy this nice, packaged up content, and they'll share it. I just did that with List Building 101 over at Social Triggers. When I announced the release of List Building 101, it got something like 100 retweets, and I gained something like 150 new emails to my list, or maybe a little 200. I don't remember the exact numbers.
Nice, man. Yeah.
Just by packaging up a resource. And, to really hit home with that, I told Michael Port. Do you know Michael Port?
I don't know.
All right, so he's the Book Yourself Solid guy. He's a really cool dude.
Oh, I know that book. Yeah. No, he was featured on Copy Blogger a little bit ago. I really liked
So
his
I
interview.
actually gave him similar advice with these resource pages. I told him this advice on like a Friday. He loved it, and then he had that implemented on his site within like 4 days. So it really is good stuff. Even top tier people are loving this whole strategy of resource pages.
Right on, man. It makes sense, and it's a good way to, like what you're saying. You have this awesome content that got a good response maybe 9 months ago, but now it's buried in the archives.
Exactly.
You can repurpose it, put it up on a static page, and link it up. Yeah.
Exactly. So now let's talk a little bit more about how to really kickstart some list building going on your site.
Right on.
I'm noticing that in your sidebar, you've got free resources, and it's linking to.
Yeah, these are like the three main things that I've put out so far.
Are they all products, or are they free? The high conversion is the free product.
Yeah, no, these are all squeeze pages.
Okay, these are all squeeze pages?
Yeah.
Now, I think you might want to consider adding a sign-up form above that.
Right on.
And the reason why you want to do that is because there's some people who might read your content and be ready to give you the email right away. You don't want to make them work to give you your email. Let's make it real easy to give them the email.
So are you talking about just like a general like get free updates kind of opt-in bar or
Exactly. Just a nice, simple get free updates. Slap it up there. If they're not ready, they'll see the free resources and they'll click on that. Now, the one thing I'm concerned with your free resources, and you'll have to test this, but the free resources look like they could be ads.
Yeah, see, I thought about that, and candidly, I don't know. I'm not coming up with a good idea on how to do that. You mentioned that on Risley's review too, because I watched that also. And yeah. So what would you suggest in making them look not like ads?
Yeah, so I'm gonna be honest with you. There's no easy way to do that. You have to look at it from this perspective. When people see these pictures of downloadable products like this, that's usually used on sales pages.
Like they become invisible.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you want to figure out a way to step it up. Like I can tell you what I'm doing, and I'm getting good results with it. Is instead of using pictures of products like that, I'm using chalkboards, and I overlay some type on a chalkboard in my sidebar, And the chalkboards are really looking really nice, and no one else is currently doing that, and it looks kind of cool, and it doesn't really look like an ad because it's a strange size ad unit. It's
Mm-hmm.
not really blending in. But you might want to experiment with trying to figure out a way to show what you're all about without using those pictures that signify buy my stuff. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, I could totally see somebody think, oh, well, I'm just gonna, if I click on this, I'm gonna get an ad to buy an ebook or something.
Exactly. You want to make
Yeah.
it. You don't want them to go in there defensively. You want them to go in there and be ready to give an email. You know what I'm saying?
Right on.
All right. So let's talk about some more conversion tips. Now I know at the bottom of every one of your posts, you've got related posts, and you have the have any questions. It'd be a pleasure to help, and you ask for the email address, right?
Yeah, I got an opt-in, and this have any questions links up to my services page.
Cool.
Yeah.
So here's what I'm thinking. I mean, I hate the fact that you have related posts above that. I think those related posts are nice and everything. But I don't personally use them. I think if people are going to click on related stuff, they're going to do it from within the content, not from the
Just
bottom of the article. And when people read your content, they really like what you have to offer. If they make it to the bottom of your post, they're feeling good about you. So that's the best time to ask for an email when they're feeling good. You don't necessarily want to send them to another page. Yeah, they'll read some more of your content, but what's the main goal of this website? Is to get more leads, right?
well, right on, man. Yeah.
So I would even put the get more lead thing, the lead sign up form above related posts.
Right on. So, would you generally recommend just not having related posts? I want to
Well,
make content accessible, but I hear what you're saying. Absolutely.
yeah. So related posts now are great for sites that don't have resource pages. When you got resource pages, now that's a way to make content accessible.
You
You know what I'm saying?
link a bunch of other
I
stuff up, and yeah.
exact, and then use more better interlinking and related posts you could leave there, but I would make the opt-in the primary focus.
All right, right on.
All right, now let's talk about how you have 3 different free ebooks.
Yeah.
Now I think that is great, and I
Yeah.
think that's great for a few reasons because you write different content that might relate to these ebooks in some way.
This bottom
And
one's actually a video series.
okay, so what you can do is instead of asking for a generalized email like you currently do, you could choose which one of these instead of asking for a generalized email, you could have another opt-in form based on the type of post you just wrote that promotes a different type of conversion. If you're writing a blog post about conversion rates, at the bottom of your blog post, you can say, hey, if you like the conversion rates, get my high conversion ebook for free. Just enter your name and email. So now you're looking at asking people targeted offers. And when you have like a conversion ebook on a conversion post, it converts better than a generalized email gathering form on a conversion post. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right on. That's smart. And it would only take a second because I've already got the opt-in forms.
Exactly. You already got everything already built. You just need to use it.
Right.
All
Yeah,
right.
I like that idea. Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Great. Now let's talk about the blog itself. I'm noticing that once you get those resource pages in play, fix the advertising, and maybe the sidebar. Let's take a look. I think when you fix all that, your blog will be optimized for converting people into leads. But I do have a question for you.
So,
Where does a lot of your traffic hit? Does it hit your single post pages, your home page? Where's the traffic hit usually?
you talking about just like new people coming in? Like,
Exactly.
yeah, the landing page. Yeah, usually single posts.
Usually the single post pages.
Yeah, and then they'll go to the home or about from there or an opt-in page.
All right, so I see you chose to not have any comments. Is there a
Yeah,
reason
I
for
was.
that?
Yeah, because what I found was a couple things, and I was wondering. I was pretty sure you were going to bring that up, and I would love for you to tear that apart. But I turned them off maybe 4 or 5 months ago at this point, so it's been a while. And the reason was, a there was a pretty strong disconnect between who I was the commenting and the people that I actually work with.
Okay.
And then B, the other thing was that I found that I was already everybody that I was having conversations with via comments. I was already talking with on Twitter and via my email list anyway. So I felt like, well, my goal is first of all is to build email list anyway. I'm already talking with these people on email anyway. So I felt like I was just narrowing the focus more. And if somebody only wants to comment, but they're not willing to, talk with me on Twitter or email, then maybe that's just a way to kind of refine my approach a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I
that
think
was my rationale anyway.
yeah, so we talked about this briefly last week, I know, and as I was mentioning, there's really two types of people. There's the people who talk about your stuff, and there's the people who buy your stuff.
Yeah.
And I personally like comments only if you're getting comments. If you have blog posts that go live and you don't have comments on them because your audience isn't large enough to really support a nice active comment base just yet,
Right.
you don't want to use them because that's negative social proof, and negative social proof makes it whole, this place is dead. Why should I hang out here? But if you're able to get those comments, you really want to have them because, as I said, there's the people who buy your stuff and there's the people who share your stuff. The people who comment are usually the people who share your stuff. And if they're going to share your stuff to their audience, those are the people that might send more customers your way. Even though the customers may not comment, they might be sending potential customers your way. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I can, and you mentioned that to me last week, and that was the first time I thought, man, actually that makes sense. That it's maybe more common than I thought to have that division between comments and business. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Maybe it's more common, maybe it's more prevalent than I realized.
Exactly. So now I have another question for you. When you get the comments going, those are people that could send some viral traffic your way. You get the targeted opt-in forms that we talked about at the bottom of your post. For people who are here that don't have all these different freebies like you do, you don't need a targeted opt-in form, but you could just have an opt-in form right after the post completes above related posts, and you'll see a nice little conversion rate. The overall percentage won't be that high, but realize that the people who are entering it in there are people who actually read your entire article, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, this opt-in form is never, I tested it before, and it's never really done much better than like 2%.
Yeah,
but
so it doesn't do well, but it's good people that are getting on your list.
Right on. Yeah.
Now, let's also talk about that for a second. If you're going to enter those comments, if you're going to actually use comments on your site and you're going to get those comments, people are going to read the comments. And what's going to happen is it's going to push your footer lower down the page, right?
Yeah, right.
And here's what's going to happen. If people read your full post, that's the best time to ask for an email because they like your articles. But then they start reading your comments. So the next best place to put an email sign-up form is in your footer. Because if they read your comments, they're going to get to the bottom of your comments and they're going to see, oh, there's another email sign-up form. Working off that same vein of if they're willing to read your comments and get to the bottom of your page, they probably like what you're saying. So why not ask them for the email when they're at the peak of their interest?
Right on.
You know what I mean?
Right on, yeah.
So if you're going to add the comments, I suggest adding another email sign-up form in the footer.
Right on. Oh, actually, I saw you've got a opt-in your footer, right?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I have that because, Social Triggers usually gets between, 50 and 100 comments on a lot of articles. And when people go and scroll to the bottom of that, I want them to be asked for action again. You know what I'm saying?
Right on. Yeah. That's a lot of comments.
Oh, well,
I don't get because you mentioned before like you don't want to have the negative social proof, which I'm totally down with. I don't have a super, I guess it's just relative, like what's a big community, but I most of my posts I would end up getting like around maybe 15 or 20 comments.
Yeah, that's a good amount of comments though.
Yeah.
And one thing I want to say, I've actually never shared this in public before, so this is going to be really good stuff for you and your audience.
Hot.
A lot of people have email lists and they let their blog posts go out to their email list. Are you one of those people?
I write an email about it.
All right.
It doesn't blast out like as a blog broadcast like Aweber has. I don't use that.
Okay. But you do So you write a custom email?
Yeah.
All right, so what I've been doing is I'm noticing that people tend to like to read content within email. So I do a switch ups every so often. Sometimes I'll send my full post to my email and I'll strip all of my internal links out of my blog post. So I'll send a full post to my email list, strip all of the internal linking out of the blog post, and at the end of the blog post, I'll add in click2tweet.com, which is where you can create a custom link. When people click it, it'll encourage them to share it with their audience.
Right. Yeah.
When I do that, my articles get over 100 retweets
Because
because
it's just
I have
that.
a decent sized list. I send them, sometimes I'll send the whole piece of content if it's a short enough piece, like maybe 700-800 words. Send the whole piece of content to the list. Get rid of all the internal linking. At the bottom, just say, hey, if you love this article, click on this link to leave a comment on the blog, or click this link to share it with your Twitter followers. I've been doing that, and it's been really scoring me some nice viral traffic.
Nice. You just remove everything but that one link.
At
Is
the
that
bottom of the post, exactly. So I have two links at the bottom. One, click to comment. The other, click to retweet.
cool? Cool. I
And I
like
usually,
that.
so usually it'll end with the post, then it'll end with a click to comment, then I'll do a PS, click to retweet.
And you don't
And
do
I'll,
that ever. You just do it every once in a while, or
yeah, so sometimes I've been doing it a lot lately, but it's been working real nice.
yeah, I'm gonna give
And
that a shot. Yeah.
it's good to shock your audience. Once you start getting into the world of sending out regular updates to your list or to your email list, they tend to get used to how you send emails. So you always got to switch it up and do something the exact opposite. Just recently I sent out an email where it was like, "Hey, what's up? Check out this link." Done. That was the whole email. But usually I just got off a little stretch of sending full posts to the list. So then I'll shock them a little bit with just a short one saying, click this link. You know what I'm saying?
Right on. Yeah. There's all this indoctrination about consistency, so people know what to expect. But I'm hearing you with every once in a while, turn the tables around a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. You wanna really get people to know what to expect, like you just said, but you want to violate their expectations once in a while, not because you're trying to trick them, but because you don't want to be boring or you don't want to blend in with your email box. You know what I mean? You want to really change the way they're thinking about you.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Keep things dynamic a little bit.
Exactly. So now, here's another thing I've never done before: is what one question would you want to ask about your site? Like, what do you feel is an opportunity for your site that we didn't really address in this call today?
An opportunity for my site.
With regards to, it could be with regards to conversion, it could be with regards to even SEO maybe.
If anything, and you addressed it a little bit, but one of the things that I've noticed, which I really try to not be too picky about numbers and analytics and things like that, but what I have noticed that I don't get a lot of traction on Twitter in the form of retweets. Like every once in a while, I'll get just 15 or 20, but most of the time it hovers just around a few. And so, what if you have any ideas about that? But like I said, you just kind of mentioned that with the idea of sending out a full content with that link is an idea that I'm definitely going to try.
Yeah, and actually, if you do without the comments, if you don't have comments enabled and you just have that one link for click to retweet,
Yeah.
I think you're going to see a lot of action there with Twitter. But now, how does Twitter really work? You want to get people on Twitter reading your site. To really get that going, you want to get people on Twitter reading your site. And the best way to do that is to play to Twitter's vanity. If you write a blog post about Twitter, it'll
Mhm.
get more tweets. So maybe if you do your next blog post about Twitter, you'll be able to get, and then do that click to tweet functionality at the bottom of the post. You'll notice that the people who open that will share it on Twitter, getting more Twitter people to your Twitter post. And hopefully you'll convert some of those random Twitter users into loyal readers
Right
who
on.
will
Yeah.
then be ready to consistently retweet your stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Right on. Yeah. I like that idea.
I did that with Social Triggers, where I had 3 articles about Twitter marketing, mainly because I wanted to get some Twitter users to my site. I plan on doing that with Facebook also, again, just to get people who share stuff on Facebook to my site. That way, my other stuff will get more play with Facebook and Twitter. Even though I'm getting pretty good play on Facebook already, like 50 shares or something like that. But I know I could really kick it up a notch if I do a Facebook article, get massive Facebook shares, and then get ready to start converting some of those Facebook share people into regular sharers.
Nice.
So it's all about hitting those. You want to hit those niches by hitting their vanity. Get the right people to your site, and then you'll notice a little burst.
Nice, yeah.
I mean, and then of course, but it goes without saying, you got to write good content. You write good stuff though, so that's not an issue. The other thing I would recommend: Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Google Plus, whatever it is, it's all got one thing in common. People need to want to talk about your stuff. There's a book called Buzz Marketing by Mark Hughes, and he quotes something in this book called the 6 Buttons of Buzz.
Right on.
And these buttons are all about what people talk about or what makes people talk about certain things. Those 6 buttons you could actually hit in your blog posts. And I've noticed that when I hit those buttons, I always get massive shares. Like I did something a few months ago called The Content is King Myth Debunked. And I was hitting the whole controversial button where I was violating expectations. So naturally, people read that and then shared it a little bit more than my regular blog posts. You know what I mean?
Yeah, buzzworthiness.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Buzzworthiness, and it's from that book, Buzz Marketing, the 6 Buttons of Buzz. You don't even have to buy it. I think the 6 Buttons of Buzz is like the first chapter. You could just read it up. You could probably read it online somewhere. But it's also a very good read to read the whole book if people have time to read that.
Cool, man. No,
Yeah.
those are some awesome insights.
Cool, very, very cool. The one thing I do want to mention is let's just do a quick recap. You know, you want your site to pass that header removal test. You want to add the links to the resource pages because you're going to be able to highlight your older content with. You'll be able to highlight some of your older stuff in your navigation bar and be able to turn those resource pages into conversion pages.
Right.
And it's also beneficial because if you make those resource pages keyword targeted and then you do guest posts, instead of linking to your homepage, you could link to a resource page to start sending some juice to these highly targeted pages and start building rankings.
Right on.
For specific keywords. And then you also want to try to eliminate the whole ad stuff on the sidebar to make it not look like ads. I don't have an easy solution for you for that. You just want to make sure whatever it is you put there doesn't look like an ad or look like you're selling something because people won't click it.
Right on.
And then we also talked about potentially doing targeted offers at the bottom of your blog post. Depending on the topic of your post, you could link one of your 3 freebies.
Yes.
And then potentially moving related posts below your opt-in form.
Yeah,
so that's good stuff. I mean, I hope you found this all valuable.
You know what you said at the beginning of the call was that it's just these little tweaks. You know what I mean? None of this is like super like uber complicated or anything. It's just like these little tweaks that could make a big difference. So, yeah, I mean, you can count on them. I'm definitely going to implement this stuff.
Cool, man. I'm really glad I was able to help out.
Yeah, absolutely, much appreciated.
The one thing I want to mention is if anyone's interested in learning more about this sort of stuff, you can just hit up socialtriggers.com/CR, which is for Christian Russell. So socialtriggers.com/CR, and that's my newsletter, which I only open up when I do these site reviews with people. That's, I think, the 8th time I've opened up my newsletter this year. One I've opened for Chris Brogan, one for Pat Flynn, and a few other people. So make sure you go over there and sign up for the email updates if you're interested in learning more.
Yeah, this is true. You've only done that a few times, and this is not your general email list. This is actually something where you're if I'm understanding you right, this is your actual, like, your direct email list where you actually respond to people. And
yeah, I actually, I created myself a little headache because after doing this the last, month or so, I've got something like 1,000 emails, and I've responded to almost every one of them so far. So I do respond to those emails. You have to be on that email list, not the regular blog list, to get, basically responses from me. I can't guarantee I respond to everyone, but I spend hours every day responding to people. So that's the list you got to be on if you want potentially a response from me.
Fantastic, man. Very cool. Very cool.
Awesome. So, hey, I'm really glad that we went through this, and I hope that your readers and yourself found this as valuable. as I think it should be for you.
It should be, man. And this is the and I just want to end with one thing. A lot of times the things we talk about here are just are simple. So you think, oh well, it's just these simple tweaks. Man, these little tweaks really can make a difference. If you can get a 1 or 2% better result on 10 different these things add up. You know what I'm saying? So I hope you guys that are listening to it will actually follow through and take some of this. I know that you're going to see changes here based on what I heard from Derek today, and I hope that you guys will implement on your own business also. So thanks a lot, sir.
Hey, see you later, man.
All right, talk to you later. Peace out.